Hello, in this lesson we are gonna implement our core functionality of our project using function calls. This is a functionality that OpenAI provides through its API. We're gonna have this as an alternative for Engine, just because this is not the kind of functionality that's gonna be available for every LLM. So it's important to have our traditional one. And now let's implement the same one using this functionality itself, because it's very likely that you're going to be using OpenAPI. And it's important to see how you would implement that using this function calling. Before that, I want to just go to our example using the traditional version and explore some other functionality that we have available and which I forgot to mention last time. Let's start with let's say we have here an option to call JavaScript, right? And this is fired when we choose to open a chatbot on our page. Let's just check it out. Please open the chatbot, let's say. And this returns a function called OpenChatBot with some code in here, which is JavaScript version that we have in our documentation. So in order to open a chatbot, we have the following JavaScript code, and this is the code itself, and it has split it into OpenChatBot for the function name and the code itself. We can even get the code and run it to check if it is correct. And then it now appear here, the chatbot functionality. So we have it available. Next one that I wanna try it out, it is to explore. This chatbot does a lot of stuff. Yeah, try it out again. I want to exercise the time, current time, so which we have set as part of our agent. We have set the, where was it? In our prompt, we have given the current time and date, so we can kind of explore some, let's say, some actions which would be using the current time. And to exercise that, I'm gonna ask to our engine to help me to book some a BJJ. This is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class for the Tuesday. So today it is Sunday, and I want to book a class for Tuesday. And today it is 23 June. So 23 June, and this should return 25 for our class. Let's see. Yeah, so here you can see that we have some instruction to book a class. Would be using this Calendly information, and you can see that here it's setting one of the parameters that you have in our calendar. It is the time, and we pass it here as 25. Just make it a bit bigger. 25 June, which it is after tomorrow. Sure. And this is basically let's cover it as well. We have in our instructions in here, we have option to list application, and we can list applications two ways. We can this list application, and you can kind of trying to build a, let's say, display this list either as a list or a chart bar as well. So let's see if we can explore this functionality. And this actually is described in our functionality here. When you are listing things somewhere, did we? Oh yeah, when you are response render here, we can have the render type, which is going to be a list or a chart. If we have chart here anywhere, yeah, we describe it here, right? List or chart. So now you're gonna try to run this, and now you can see that as part of the display response to render, we'll have the charts type and using the field app name and app model. So with this information, we can build our front end to use different way of displaying. This is very cool. So the detail here it is that we are using everything with the ChatGPT 3.5, right? So it's the base one here. So you can see that it's pretty powerful, this version as well. You don't need to use the latest one to kind of achieve all that you have shown here. The function calling version we can use with the ChatGPT 3.5, but it doesn't really work well. We're gonna show it that for you. And this one here does. So one more option, one more reason why you should have this type of prompting as well on your kind of toolbox. Now let's dive into the functional call version. I have defined it all here already for us because it's a lot of stuff. So, but basically what I did was converted our like prompt into functions, and you can see that the OpenAI API expect this kind of type of structure where we define the functions that we want to support. So for example here we are saying this type function, and you have the browse website option, which will basically contain the thoughts that we already so how to actually let's start from the beginning. So functions, we define the function, the name of the function, and the parameter for the function that we want to be used. So based on that, so you need to then let's say declare this function. So with the name, what it does, and the parameter for this function, because that's what the ChatGPT is going to be doing. It is firing whatever function that you are passing as an option. ChatGPT will basically populate the parameter for that function and electing which function in the list should be picked. That's the main reasoning and task that ChatGPT will be doing. It is to choosing among the options which one to use. So we define the browse one that we had already. Then we're going to define the JavaScript version and the API call, the same we had before on our agents, right? So if you see here, we have the option 1, option 2, and option 3. So the difference now that we pass that in a more structured way rather than on this single prompt. Okay. So we are defining here. Let's take which one? Browse one. It's basically the function and the parameter for that function, and we declare here that we expect a property dots and the args, and inside the args we define args it's an object, and you define two property for args, and also we pass the render request and for the render for this function they have response render. It's just a request. On the function it will be the same. So basically the thoughts and the arguments related to that function, and the API call we have the same. Then parameters thoughts and args, and args you have URL method, data request, headers, and things like that. Request, for this one we have the request render and the response render, right? And here you have the option to kind of pass which fields are required. Basically that it's just structure our options with following the description that is the documentation that OpenAI provide. And the next thing that we need to do, it is to support this function, which we hasn't done yet. So first thing, we need to go to the OpenAI client. We need to have one option here, which would be functions. And I'm going to set it as none. If we have the function set, we are going to set this as, let's see what OpenAI scribe that you need to pass. I have here an option, examples. In the examples now, you can see that when you're calling the API, it's expecting to pass that list of functions as a tool. So this tool, yeah, in here. So we had the message that we were using before, and now we have tools. So here we pass as tools. And another thing that we need to do, it is to say tool. I think it's tool choice. Let's see. Tool choice. Yeah, tool choice. And we are going to define as required because we want always to pick up one of the function that we are passing. Auto means we can, ChatGPT will pick up if it finds a good function to be used or none. So it's a kind of optional function choice. And we want to kind of make it required, so to always have it. So let's press it here. And we set it as required. And I think that's basically it. Where we are calling that, it's on the our LLM. We need to also pass that. Functions. And you need to pass it. And also the pro. And we also need to change our response object to support the tools, because it's a new field that would be returning from OpenAI. And here we are gonna let's create a new method here, which would be prepare response. And I'm gonna move this and that. I think it would be smarter if we use our ID to help us. Prepare response. Detect one fragment, yes. All. Yeah, prepare. Let's do this. Okay, started. And we then gonna have and now we are gonna have here, let's take this message. Yes. And then we're gonna tool pause. And we are gonna have we're gonna get message to call if to call is in message. Otherwise, we set as none. So to go to call. Yes. So we're gonna see when on the documentation, if we can find that, to it as part of the response. Now we're gonna have these two calls, which will be none if we are not using functions, passing the functions, and we will return if we pass the functions. Now our agent using functions, when we are calling it, we call and we use base, and we are passing our functions now. The GPT functions, which it is what we have declared here, the list of functions. Parameter. This will be easier to navigate. So yeah, you have these three functions: JS func, API call, and browse website. We are passing that. And our prompt here has kept basic what we had on the other agent, and we just now included the thing that please use one of the provided function as the response. So then use the API call function if the command is the API call. Use the send email function if the command we don't have this supported. Yeah. Use the web browser and functions. Just three. Option 1, true. And we just passed here the query from the user. We can just rename this to input. And it should be based on that. I think we need to do some changes on our service now. Basically, I'm gonna comment out this line and use here our command func instead, right? And as part of our command here, I'm gonna do a small change. I'm gonna say not. If it's not an action, I'm gonna basically move this in here just for complexity. I think this would make more sense, but this we're gonna have a kind of not an if here, which if it is response, and if the response output tools exist, we are gonna be calling the command handle response, which we are basically taking the response and parsing it in the way that we match with the we have from the other agent. So we want to respond the same structure. Yeah, so response, and now we are kind of getting the function. So we're gonna look at the response here, but tools will contain different functions on that. You get the functions, then you get all the argument, and we build we parse it into JSON, and we build the dots from the dots, function name from function, and you look at the arguments, and if it has the arguments, we add, and you look at each request render and response render, and set it if it exists. Otherwise, we set as a dictionary. It's basically everything. Let's try to run it. This application, let's start with this one, the same way we did before. So this is the expected response. It will be the dots and the command and the name of the command and the arguments for that command with the render and response. Do it. So it is coming on the handle response. Let's look at what it's responding. Get the function, the arguments, and the argument. So the function, the first, let's see how it comes with the structure. Maybe look at the output here. You can see the whole object. Now you can see that I have tools. Message comes as none, and tools will have one function, which are one tool, and you have then the type, which is function, and in our case get function, which it is we are getting here, and the function has the name of the function, which API call, and the arguments for that API call would be as a string, comes as a string. That's why we then parse it into the two args, and you have args with the method get and URL, and field type will be input, and dot speak. I will list all applications as a chart with the field app name and app model, and the important one here is the render, which would be type chart, and the fields will be app name and app model, exactly how we had before. So we build doc. It didn't send the reasoning, but it's fine. We are gonna actually only use the speak for our UI, and API call, the URL, and this input type here, input. It's kind of saying that you have one input. We actually don't have any input, but that's fine. And then a chart and app name. Pretty good. I think very much the other approach. Let's explore the other prompts that you had. So let's go with the open the chatbot. Let's fail. What happened? Got stuck. Yeah, it's not a breakpoint, right? It starts. My machine. I start. Yeah. Try it again. Hit chatbot. And then yeah, you get the response, you get the function name, and you have the argument function code. This time it brought the whole function in one single one. But yeah, you got it. Let's try to run this. New it called it already here. No open. Let's try to run this. You can console. It's including here to open. Because it's a string, we need to send this. It's a string, so we need to kind of pass this. Valid unexpected token, because it's adding this capes. I know, actually it's this part here. Yeah, it's just because it was a string, you need to kind of parse it out from the string. And then you can just open that, well, and it actually, yeah, working. Let's just refresh this. what other prompt you can do. Let's create a new app. Create a new app didn't work. Thoughts didn't return thoughts. It didn't come with thought. We can, I think I didn't set it as required. Maybe that's why. Let's put it required and thought function and the parameters for browse. Yeah, it's not pleasant. Thought. Let's set that to all the functions. Thought and required here. See if that improves things. I'll create a new application for you, for the user, and it's post, but it's not returning the input. Request render input. Yeah, it's missing the fields though. Create a new app. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Create app. Create application. It's supposed to have app name, app description. So I to build new app render input fields. Request render fields type thing. Let's try it again. Disappointing. Now I select field with function. Now it's responding as yeah. Now it's pretty stupid. It's thinking is not a common. Please create a new application. That is like, so we need to really try to handle all the possible issues that ChatGPT has. Okay, forgot. This, as I said, ChatGPT 3 doesn't work very well with this function thing. We need to go to the ChatGPT 4. Let's see what's missing. Let's go. Hallucinating pretty bad here. Ooh. Still. What is that? Pro. Okay. And Pro, I don't think I changed it here. On LLM, Pro, still using the old way. We need to get it to prepare response. Like I flipped it. Base function, prepare response. And required. Yeah, predict functions. Anyway, yeah, we're passing functions here. Strange. Let's hey start it and just to make sure if it is really taking the latest. using Pro, if as functions, and then predict. Inside here, we get the functions required, and that's the service path. Let me just add a breaking point in here to hit the application. Interesting. So it's not breaking point where I put, so I'm missing something somewhere. Predict function. And let's see, using Pro. Let's put this here. GPT function. What I'm missing. Infer GPT functions. Then I will go in predict functions. Yeah, functions. Tools. Yeah. Okay, so let's check what you have in our data. And task is not defined. What is this? Great. Interesting, because I cannot see the parameters here. Oh yeah, no, yes, data. 4. Okay. Functions. Temperature. Okay. Should be it. Okay, that worked. Not sure what was going on. But yeah, when we call with ChatGPT 4, it actually works. So in order to create a new application, we need to have all these parameters and press render with type input for app name, app description, text area, app temperature input, and app model is a select with the GPT-3 and GPT-4. So it's working properly now. Let's see if we can have the booking part of it, which we kind of expect to get the correct date. Let's say, please me to book a BGG class this and Tuesday. And here, so it's skipping, so which means this I set up picker. Okay, there it's not yet our call now yet. Yeah, you got it correct. And then yes, the browse to the website, and yes, 25 June, it is correct. And yes, it looks like it's working properly now. Let's just do one more test, which is to list applications as a chart with the fields app name and app model. Yes, chart, app name, app model, and we have it done. So we then implemented our very sophisticated logic using the traditional, let's call prompting, and also using the functional calling functionality that OpenAI provides to us. And I hope you have enjoyed it, and we'll next work on the memory of this application, so you can kind of iterate on past message. Thank you very much. See you next lecture.